Don't date your coworkers.
Gosh, man.
I know. We're starting out hot and heavy. Just jump right into it. I can't get my brain to focus on it for more than like an hour.
Working for somebody else for me is just not an option. I am unemployable.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of From Wise to Wise, a podcast about overcoming victim mentality and looking at generational trauma. I almost forgot what our podcast was about for a second. I am here with my mom again, Danny, aka the Niche Lady, and today we're going to talk about a very interesting topic, our work history. Mm-hmm. This is something that I recognize it earlier on in my career than you did, but the way ADHD affects people and their ability to stay at a job and their ability to work in a 9-to-5 corporate job versus branching out and going on the entrepreneur route. I know you've talked about your career history a little bit on your channel and stuff, but today we're going to talk about mine and the comparison of generations and what it looked like back when you were starting to get a job and what it looks like now in the corporate world. So let's start off with a fun little question. What do you think the biggest challenge at work has been for you?
Gosh, man.
I know we're starting off hot and heavy. Just jump right into it.
Yeah, we'll just jump right in. I mean, yeah, I've had a really extensive work history generally because I think I get bored. It's not that I have no work ethic or I don't do the work. It's that I start finding different things to do in a job. Like I'll see a different way to organize something but higher ups did not like that. They felt threatened by that, just do your job. And I'm not good at just doing my job. So I always want to do more, do extra, be the overachiever. And I think that is what happened with many, many of my jobs until I got to the stage of self-employment.
I love that you bring up the got bored stage because I wanted you to recount your experience so others could relate to it before I go into the explanation of why it's connected to ADHD, because I think there's so many people that are affected by this but are afraid to label it in any capacity. So the explanation of needing excitement in your job and the cycle of having a job for about 8 months and then feeling like you're tired, burnt out, can't keep up with what you did to initially get the job, and then you switch careers at the 1-year mark as a cycle is pretty consistent amongst all people with ADHD, honestly. Or you have to reinvent your entire position within and you're incredibly burnt out the whole time.
See, I never considered myself having a career either. I had a lot of jobs, a lot of waitressing, working at Disneyland. The most killer boring job I ever had was being and you might not even know what this is, a microfiche photographer. Yeah, that's what I thought.
Couldn't tell you what that fish? I heard fish.
Fiche. F-I-C-H-E. But basically what used to happen before the age of the internet it was a financial company, and every piece of paper, every document had to be recorded on film. And I was one of those people who had a box of documents and boom, take the picture. Boom, take the picture. Boom, take the picture. There was a what do you call it? A dark room where they
developed.
The whole it's so archaic now. You think back.
Oh man.
I would literally fall asleep on my camera. And my coworker would be like, Danny.
Honestly, that any job that I had to do filing work for, I just can't do it. I can't get my brain to focus on it for more than an hour because then I'm fed up.
Yes. I think that's why, I started doing the waitressing and, when I went to work at Disneyland, I was really hoping to be out in the park and doing one of the exciting jobs. And it's funny because I know you worked at Disneyland too.
I did.
But I was stuck back in wardrobe. So again, it was one of those very mundane. Somebody comes to the window, they tell you their size and which theme they need a costume for. You go get, their stuff and you hand it to them. It was not an exciting job.
Honestly, though, knowing what I know, because I worked on stage at Disneyland, and the persona and the mask that you have to have and be happy and cheery and bubbly and bright, even when you don't want to on stage in your costume, it's draining and exhausting. And the other problem I have with Disneyland is you have to be in your outfit at your workstation, ready to clock in
Oh,
by the time your time to clock in. But you also have to park your vehicle and shuttle in and walk to the place. Luckily, I was on Main Street, but yeah, Disneyland's big.
oh, we could have a whole discussion about Disneyland.
We're not getting into that,
We
but
don't need to go there.
I do think the similarities of like our experiences at different jobs and that need for like dopamine, like that's why I love marketing, because marketing is creative and it's experimental enough that you are never doing the same thing from day to day, but it's routine enough that you know what to expect from it. So it's that balance of like what you need and the structure at the same time.
You know, for me, I've been content creating and teaching coaching now for 15 years. And it's always something a little bit different, but it's always something you can tap in to your own experience and then convey. But it's still, there's nobody telling me how I have. Well, I mean, that isn't true, because I feel like the public is telling me what I should and shouldn't do with my. But you know what I mean. I can go
There's not a boss
a new direction
ahead of
on a
you
dime if I want to.
Yeah. Which is what we need to be able to stay interested in our work. And I think that's something that we both had a challenge. And I think a lot of people have a challenge with at their career, is that need for when you have an idea to be able to just go down that wormhole, and you can't go down that wormhole.
Are we gonna go down that wormhole of talk?
What wormhole? Wait, what?
I'll kind of exemplify a bit of that.
Oh, yes. Both of us do. We're both like spontaneous. What's the impulsive?
Yeah. Impulsive, you know, the thing is like impulsive, but yet thought that I had it all planned out. I thought that I had it all figured out. It wasn't like, oh, tomorrow I'm going to go do this, man. I planned and planned and planned and planned, and I had the business plan, and I did the thing and the thing, and then like.
Oh, now I know what you're talking about. Oh,
yeah.
We're talking about the store. We're talking about the store.
Well, and the store before that too.
Oh, I wasn't around for that one, but
yeah,
I think that because you and I have had a lot of talks about the Good Stuff thrift store, and I was in a different position than you of whether or not it was a quote unquote good idea to open it at the time. And I remember we were having talks back and forth about the timing of launching and making sure that things were going. And you were in that state of like,
I had to make it happen.
Well, that's the survival mode where you're like, I can do it. I can work 24 hours a day to do it. And I was like, no, you need to set it up so it's more sustainable. So you're not working 24 hours a day to get it going. And you're like, no, I have all this time. I just won't sleep.
I was afraid that if I didn't, like, the opportunity came up. So I had been looking for a place to open this store for a year. And I got turned down over and over. And it was usually, we'll go into like the male dominated property ownership world. But because I was a single woman. Bottom line, I had the income. I had everything on paper. I had the business plan. It really came down to they didn't want a woman. And I know that because my real estate agent at the time told me that was the discussion that they had. I'm not just
unfortunate
making that up. So when the opportunity came for this place that I could get into, that I could afford, it was pretty turnkey. I was like, I got to do it. If I don't do this right now, this opportunity isn't going to come again. And that's right. That is one of my big learning lessons, is that I cannot jump that way. Like, I need to make sure that everything is in order and set, and that I have the right people on the team to make things happen and not just be rescuing people.
Shooting from the hip. I think the big thing too, we have a lot of the conversations of we start at step 10 and we see where we want it to go. And then we're like, okay, we'll backtrack, but we only backtrack to like step 5. And then we're like, oh, well, all this will just catch up. And so it's like, we're trying to smash steps 1 through 5 into the start when really we need to backtrack even further and slow it down, which is the process that's hard for our brain because we already see step 10. We already see, I remember you wanted to do franchise opportunities with the Good Stuff and like open more stores and do this, as a bigger and bigger idea. But I think for our brains, it's hard to whittle it down to the boring, monotonous, how to start aspect of it all.
Yeah. No, I'm a big dreamer. I'm a big go for it person, but that I am learning also gets me in a lot of chaos.
It does. It does. And I think a lot of people get discouraged from the big dreams that they have that don't pan out, and then they don't do them again, or they learn that the failure is, you know, too defeating. Or
it is painful. It is painful to have a business fail and take the lumps from that, and the money loss is harsh, and then figuring out, okay, where do I pick back up and do this again? But I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that working for somebody else for me is just not an option. It's just, I am unemployable.
Someone's going to use that as a clip. Working with you, I definitely know that it's hard for you to take direction sometimes, because you have where you want to go, you see it, and that's all your brain wants to focus on. And I can relate to that because I have the same brain. And I think that's where a lot of the headbutting between the two of us in business comes along. But I think we've gotten better about being able to have conversations about things and get our point across without feeling the need to be defensive about what we are conveying. That's a big one.
Well, I've learned too that little piece there of being told that, not that you were telling me I was wrong, and it wasn't so much that, but in my head I'm hearing like, you're wrong, and if you're wrong, then you must be stupid. You must, you're not respected. You like, and then you question yourself and go, well, maybe I am stupid. Well, maybe I don't have it figured out. And so it's that inner battle of really fighting my own brain. I'm just going to speak from the first person, like fighting my own brain on, it wasn't so much being defensive with you. It's being defensive with the battle that's going in my head, hearing somebody verbalize things that I'm probably already conjuring up, but learning more about that whole process and how that works, and that, I sometimes am my own worst enemy. But the thing between you and I is that, yes, we get into our little tussles and I fight back and I get defensive. And then 24 hours later, it's processed and I can fully take in what you said and go. And it's not that I always agree, but I can look at it and then go, okay.
Objectively, yeah.
Here, but it's like the brain takes that time to really process what was said to get that first blockade out of the way. But I also think that is such a common thing just in everyday life. I mean, we're seeing it play out on every little TikTok video and reel, all these meltdown moments between people where there is no communication happening because there is just this.
We've lost the nuance of, there's no gray area. But I think going back to what you just said is you can take it now and like in 24 hours, you come back and kind of like have processed it. Back 5 years ago, that was not the case. And it took you honestly like 2 years. Like I remember us having these conversations where you were like, I remember you saying this, and now I can understand why you said it. It was like 2 years later. So like you heard me and you registered what I was saying, but you were fighting it and like holding on to whatever it was in your brain that was like, no, I can't let her, be right, or like prove her whatever it was.
I mean, hindsight is always 20/20.
Of course.
And the irony is that things I was afraid of a few years ago, I've had to experience now, but it's like, okay, I didn't have control over that.
Yeah. I think this kind of leads us into our next question about burnout and how it affects you at work. And I think we have this conversation a lot now where you're explaining something to me and I'm like, yeah, because you're burnout. You can't get out of bed this morning and you don't want to do anything because you're burnout. And you constantly use the should, like, I should do this. I should go do this. But I also want to look back at like previous, like when you were younger and you had more of the energy to do things and you didn't recognize any of this. Like, what did it look like back then as burnout?
I don't really remember.
What made you leave the jobs that you had? Like, why do you have so many different little jobs that you picked up here and there?
Well, my first job was working at the 7-Eleven where I met my first
Well, we know why you love
husband.
that one. Don't date your coworkers.
Well, I thought it was all like, oh, they own a business. Woohoo. See, I had that entrepreneur thing in my blood. But what happened was when we split, his dad put me over in a different store. They had 2 stores, and that went on for a while. I just wasn't making enough money to survive as a single mom. And so I started taking on second jobs and third jobs. And at one point, I was working the swing shift at 7-Eleven. I was throwing a paper route at 4:00 in the morning. And then I was, going to the place where I did the filming the stuff. And my burnout was more exhaustion and lack of sleep and just not being able to keep up with the money.
Yeah, that's a big one. I mean, that actually sounds exactly like my first jobs when I worked in the mall. I was working the overnight shift at Sephora, and then I worked the morning shift at Express, dressing the mannequins and setting up the store, and then I worked the day shift at Williams-Sonoma. And then I slept in my car and did it all over again.
We think we can do it all until we hit the wall.
I can just drink more coffee. I cannot just drink more coffee.
Yeah.
I actually accidentally landed myself in marketing. It wasn't something that I sought after or knew I was going to be good at. I kind of faked it till I made it in a job. Which, have you ever heard of this phrase, rage quitting?
No, I think that's fairly new.
Okay. Have you ever done it though? Because rage quitting sometimes is the most powerful, good feeling. So let me set this job up for you. I was working in a job.
Quit jobs.
I was working in a job that I was the front desk admin person, and I was the accounts payable or receivable, one of those. And my boss was so controlling that they dictated the color I was allowed to write in pen on my own Post-it notes, because they couldn't read them. And I was like, they are my notes. You don't need to be in control of them. So that level of scrutiny and dictation over. And I was just like, I'm done. No. And then the social media person, the marketing person, I was helping them do all of their work because they didn't know how to work Instagram at the time. So I was like, I got this. I know how. I'm going to help you. And then they got credit for all of my work. And then they left. And then I was like, oh, I'll just take that job. I've been doing it. I could do it. And then they didn't give me that job. They hired somebody else who also didn't know how to do Instagram, made me train that person. And then I was like, oh yeah, I'm out.
You just triggered the memory of, it was a company called AFS where I did that thing. And they were putting a new manager in the department, and they asked me to train her on what I did in my section. And she knew nothing. She came in as the boss and knew nothing. And then she couldn't handle the fact that she was trained by one of us. And so made my life a living hell until the point that I did finally say, shove it.
The rage quit of sending in, giving your notice the day that you're leaving is just, sometimes you need it. Sometimes it's therapeutic. And I left and I never looked back. And I was like, you know what? This bridge is okay to burn, because I did my exit interview and I was like, you might want to listen to your employees more because your manager sucks. And that's honestly still a problem. Bad managers in the realm of the corporate world. But again, different things. All right. Our next topic. What excites you at work? So what makes you want to do more work? Because I know both of us are serial chronic, what's it, workaholics? Is that what you call? It's a problem.
Or is it?
Yes, it's a problem.
Who decides it's a problem?
My therapist.
I think it depends what you're doing. If you're doing things that you love doing and things that you would do whether you were getting paid or not, it's not a problem.
Sure, but it becomes a job when you have to do it.
Well, yeah.
When it's no longer just your creative exploration, which is kind of why I've teetered on this, could I make YouTube my full-time thing? Because I enjoy it and I don't want to get to the point where I start to resent it, which is, I think, a lot of people that start their hobbies and they're like, oh, I enjoy doing this thing. I like bits and pieces of it. Some of it's a little bit taxing, but you know, the whole part of it is fun for me. I could do this forever. And then they transition into having to do it. And now all of a sudden it's this like giant block in their brain of like, that's how you get death piles. That's how you get like, I want to shop, but I don't want to list.
No, we could definitely talk about that in the reseller world.
That's why I brought it up. Because that's what made me stop doing reselling. I was like, no, I can't. I can't do this.
Yeah. So it's really funny because I've been going through this, I want to call it a midlife crisis, but it's not really a midlife crisis because I'm past kind of midlife.
No, you're not. Don't just.
But it's that concept of I'm not having fun anymore. I want to do something fun. I'm getting bored. Like I need to do a whatnot sale. I do. I need to do it. It's how I make my money. I have a bunch of jewelry to sell. And I just sat there this morning going, I don't want to. I literally said those words out of my mouth. I don't want to. And I'm like, oh, that's not good. When I start getting to that point where I'm like, just don't do it because I don't want to do it. Because it just becomes the same grind over and over. Shipping, I've been shipping for 25 years. I am sick of shipping.
Yeah, shipping sucks.
So yeah, I'm in that mode right now of like, well, what else could I do? Like what? I've been doing this so long. I don't know. And then I look at like the content creation and I'm like, okay, I know how to do this. What else can I do? And I'm, but now I'm having to like, whoo, let's keep it like reel it in a little bit. Don't make any sudden moves.
We're regulated decision makers now.
Gotta keep the roof over my head. But I do work with, I coach a lot of resellers and a lot of resellers that there's different, what's the word I'm looking for? Levels of resellers. You have everyone from, I just need to get rid of some stuff and I'd like to make a few dollars off of it, to the professional, got a warehouse, orders wholesale, and you've got every level in between. You've got the person who only needs to make a couple $100 a month, and you've got the person that needs to make a couple $1,000 a month. So reselling encompasses a lot of personalities. And I tend to find and help the women who are kind of like myself, who found that, hey, I can't really go do a 9 to 5 and keep that up. And I like the flexibility. And I want to like do this myself, but you have to be self-disciplined and you have to actually start knowing your numbers, and you have to know, am I making any money or am I just turning cash flow? Because there is a big difference between making money and just selling stuff. There's a lot of sellers out there making nothing.
Something that the both of us relate to is this idea of like, we have the vision, we have the idea, we just need somebody there to help us execute it because we can't do it alone. Yeah. And I think that is such a quintessential part of this kind of like ADHD conversation of, I love having a 9 to 5 because I love being able to clock out and someone tell me what the expectation is, and I do it, and I know how much money I'm going to make, and I can walk away and I can sleep on the weekends.
Sure.
And yes, there are pros and cons of working in that space, and there's pros and cons of being an entrepreneur, but kind of that like push and pull of like, what do you need and how to be successful, not at the sake of your own sanity. I think that's an interesting kind of dynamic to figure out for yourself.
I wish I could circle back 20 years and know then what I know now, about how my brain works and why I did what I did and have done what I've done and allowed what I've allowed and all of those things. And I'm in a much different position than you because I'm looking at, like, I'm in the last, let's face it, I've probably got, not that I'm like going to be gone, but just work wise, body wise, the ability, I cannot keep going the way I'm going keep this up for more than another 10 or 15 years.
If that.
So I'm in that, like, I need to figure this out so that I can actually retire, whatever that looks like. And I feel this pressure crunch of like, I've got to figure this out. That or Jordan's going to have to like have a little mother-in-law quarters in her house to.
That would require you to moving back to California. So
it would, but you'd be taking care of me, so it'd be okay.
I'll put you in a home. Don't worry. We'll get a nice one for you.
What's that old saying? Be nice to your kids. They pick out your nursing home later.
Honestly, I think a home near us would be much better for everyone's sanity than you living with
No,
us.
I'm kidding too. I want to be set to where if I need assistance, that I can afford to have somebody come and live in my home and let me live out. Because I can't imagine my life without all my animals either. So there's that.
Yeah, they're not coming. They're not coming to live with us.
No tortoises? No tortoises in the living room? I don't have any tortoises in the house.
That brings us to our next question. How well do you get along with coworkers? And this one's an interesting one because there are people that you connect with and you vibe really well with at work. And then there's people that I've had that are basically like an arch nemesis from a book, it feels like. And there's really no in between. Everyone else is just kind of a side character. You don't really talk to them or interact with them. It's one or the other.
You know, when I worked in corporate, it's like there's so many different personalities. And being somebody who wants to fit in, tries to fit in, it was even more harsh when that rejection happened and you weren't invited out to happy hour with the group. And I've always struggled with rejection because I've never fit in. Through school life, never. I've maybe had 1 or 2 friends at any given time. And I can remember as far back as kindergarten when my brother and I went to the same school and he would come over and then walk me home. And it was this, like, I looked up to him and he was it. He was the only person I had. I had no friends. And then he beat the snot out of me. So I'm like, I've kind of experienced that, you know, all through my life, is that I would take anybody who showed me any kind of friendship and try to fit into whatever world they were setting. And ultimately that has not served me well.
I've had coworkers that you either like bond super tightly with, and it's either like a trauma bond because of how terrible the work is and that's what gets you through work.
Yeah.
But that's your only like real foundation of a relationship, which is also not healthy. And then I've had people who just want to sabotage or like take all of my ideas and then repost them as their own. And then once I start speaking out for myself or being like, hey, that was my idea, I can do this, then they start to sabotage me at work, which is crazy because I'm of the mindset of like, I can't conceive of someone doing something nefarious to me. I can't conceive of someone like lying about me because I would never do that.
Right.
So like, why would they lie about me? You know, like, why would they say that? I don't know. It doesn't make sense in my brain why someone would do something like that. But people can inherently just like, they, in a snap decision, recognize if you're neurodivergent or not.
Yeah, see, I don't think it's so much like, I don't think people recognize neurodivergence like you're saying it. I don't think that's it. I think
hold on, because it's in the subtle cues of like how you express facial expressions. It's like the unnerving. Like, have you ever had someone say like, "Oh, she's just weird. I just get a weird feeling about her."
Yeah, but that's not them recognizing neurodivergence.
Yes, it is. That is the thing. That's their subconscious picking up on the difference and the
maybe. But you got to remember, okay, we're talking to the different generations here. Neurodivergence wasn't even a word used. Like this wasn't even a concept in all of my years going through anything. That's what I'm trying to convey, is like this was just treating it. If you didn't fall into their social norms, you were like an outcast. And we've seen that since the beginning of time. You know, people water seeks its own level, and people seek, you know, other people who are going to validate them. And I think, and this is one of the things I'm like really, really learning and picking up on, is we are so sensitive to everything.
People
like, and be our BS meter, like beep, 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 you know, and I think our whole demeanor changes when we're around somebody and we might be like listening, but we know they're like not sincere, or they're hiding something, or we know they're pretending to like us, and all of those things. So I think we back away too.
I think it's
and then that hurts feelings, and then they like,
I hear you.
How dare us? And
I get I'm annoying at work. Either people love the way I work and my work style because it's super fun and out of the box, and I can't sit still in a chair and I have to be like having a walking meeting, and like the creative part of my job is great because other creatives love that aspect, but other people are like, this girl is crazy.
Yep.
Oh, here's a fun word for you. Have you ever heard of echolalia? I think that's how you say it.
I've heard the word, I think, from you.
Yeah, probably. So
that's where like the repeating a song or a movie
you
line,
mimic, like sounds,
a familiarity that everybody relates to, and yeah.
So something for me at a job, we worked in like a bowl pit kind of thing. So we were all of our desks were just like in one room together, and we had a radio playing. And when I am in deep focus work and I hear music, I just start singing along. I am not conscious of this habit. I'm not doing it on purpose. But every single time I would start humming or singing and not realize it. And my coworkers would have to like say something like, Jordan, what are you doing? You're singing again. And they would get so pissed off at me because they thought I was doing it intentionally to be annoying. And I'm like, no, I literally just do this. But I think that's just a fun one. That's a fun little quirk. But I think you definitely do it too with music.
Oh, all the time. I think in music. Anybody who watches like my live sales or my live shows and all that, I just everything triggers a song lyric, and then I usually
mine is everything triggers a like song, not like a commercial jingle. Like my friends the other day, they were talking about how they got their couch from Living Spaces, and someone across the room was like, "Living Spaces."
Well, that's why they ask you, who do you think invented those jingles? Those jingles are made for a reason.
Catchy.
Yeah, because they stick in your head. Or even just like, some of those, the commercial lines, like, are you too young to remember Don't Squeeze the Charmin? Apparently.
Yes. No, mine was Shazam. Or
okay.
ShamWow. ShamWow.
Okay, wait. If I go, hoo-hoo-hoo, what's that?
That's Tigger.
No, it's a commercial.
What do you mean? Oh, I don't know. No. That's Tigger. That's
It's a Pillsbury Doughboy.
Oh, no.
Come on, girl.
Sorry, my bad. All right. I think we have one more question before we wrap this episode up. What was it like to get a job before computers?
Before computers. Crazy
what a
that
world.
I have lived through that. That it sounds funny, but it's kind of not that, I'm older than Google.
Our baby is going to have a hard time conceptualizing that. How did we do it in those archaic dark days?
But it used to be that you kind of had an idea of where you wanted to work, and then you would go to that place and see if they were hiring. You'd walk in.
How do you know where you want to work though? Without, you just have to walk around and find it.
There's newspapers too where you could look at the help wanted ads.
Okay, interesting.
That sort of thing. But I think most people kind of knew, like for companies that, we had telephone books. It wasn't like we didn't have information. We just had different ways of accessing information. Hard to believe. We had to open a book and go by alphabetical order and go look for a name.
The fact that like telephone numbers and addresses were just publicly published, also just handed out to everybody, was kind of wild. Imagine doing that in this day and age with doxing and like all of the no thank you.
I think it's still kind of out there.
It is. You can get it removed, but it's definitely, there's a trail. It's scary.
Yeah. No, so if you wanted to go pursue a job, you had to go find that job in a more physical manner than just going online and filling.
Did you have to print your resume on linen paper?
Yeah, with the quill and the feather, dipped it in the ink. And
seriously, you had to print it on like resume paper. That's a specific type of paper.
That I don't recall the type of paper.
I remember my first like corporate job. Someone, I don't even remember who it was, but they were very insistent upon I had to print my resume on nice like thick cardstock paper. I think I still have that pack of paper because I only printed my resume like 5 times, and they give you a pack of like 100 sheets.
That's more that point of stand out from, with the hundreds of resumes that are being submitted. And I think what happens nowadays, because it is much easier to submit a resume and an application is every job gets a lot more
thousands
often unqualified applicants to sort through. And I know, as being somebody on the employer side of hiring,
you get a lot.
And the first time I ever like placed that ad, and I used one of the companies like Indeed, or I think it was Indeed that I used, and I didn't set like strict criteria. I was afraid of missing that perfect candidate, by excluding somebody who didn't, and then by the time I did my last posting, it was like, we are narrowing this down. I don't care if I only get 3 applicants.
It's hard. Oh. And the easy apply button on jobs, I do it too. I'm currently still looking for a job. I easy apply sometimes. I know it's not actually going to, like, you have to tailor your resume, you have to write a cover letter, you have to do blah 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 blah. But yeah, the easy apply, just be like, oh yeah, that title of a job sounds good, apply, send it off, even though you're not like good for that position, or you're not even interested in it. It's just kind of like, I need a job, okay, I'll do it.
Right. And then, I mean, a lot of times people have to fill out so many applications and do so many things, for aid or whatever, that, yeah, I think employers it's a different world of how many applications you get, but very few qualified applicants for the job that is needed to be done. And then we have to think that we could, be landing on the desk of somebody who also is neurodivergent, possibly burnt out from their job, looking at all this stuff and just like...
True. Very true.
And you can't take it personal because you just don't know. You don't know where somebody's at.
Oh, I have LinkedIn Premium right now, and I can see when someone looks at my profile, and then I get like the rejection email, and I'm like, what did I do wrong?
Oh, yeah.
What is that? So you saw my resume and now my profile. What happened?
Yes.
Oh gosh, it's terrible. On that note, our next episode, we're going to be talking about your childhood, right?
Yes, we
are. That should be a fun one. But if you're my age, send this to your parent.
And if you're my age, send this to your kids.
And together we will go from wise to wise. I'm Jordan. I'll see you on the next one.
Bye.